Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Paulina here, talking to you a little bit about this new moon that's already upon us, the new moon in Scorpio. And what I can tell you about this is that while we're already here, sorry for being a little bit late this month, we have to just basically become a little bit more conscious and less messy. I talked a little bit about this on Patreon in terms of trying to congeal a certain type of certainty, because the fixed sign of Scorpio is really, really good. Well, it was very good to really understand and secure ourselves in terms of what is real and what is not, what has doubt has got to leave. Things that don't really feel as certain and as secure as other things have to really be seen. It's not about the flurry or exploration in Scorpio. It was definitely about securing things. So from that point of securing yourself and being wise and regular in terms of what you are and what you want in your life and what you're about and what your experience has taught you as a human being, you would have to come to a certain type of security or solution. So what we basically have here going on already during the new moon, which should be happening on the 20th, is a very, very nice, secure self. And from this really nice understanding of no nonsense, real, regular, and secure self, you have a really nice, simple fact. And the fact should simply evolve into a path or plan of action. So, in terms of how to manifest things, as we should have really talked about it last week, sorry, it's a little bit late. In terms of manifesting things, which is what the new moon is really about, usually new moon suggests a certain type of path or a plan of action. It doesn't have to come from any kind of guilt or any kind of ego. And how do you know if your plans are shitty, crappy plans? Is because you don't know how you're going to do it, but you're doing it by the skin of your teeth. If you're doing something that you shouldn't have had to do, also if you shouldn't be doing it, but you're doing it for someone else, and also if you have any kind of security in yourself that tells you that you are not worthy of this, but eventually something will happen, and for the time being you're going to do this, and in the end it's probably going to work out somehow differently. So we are not looking for those flimsy plans. If you have flimsy plans and identities or ideals, they would probably be turned into action by now. How do I mean turned into action? I mean that things would naturally flow through a cycle of experiences, and they would naturally bring you to the next stage or the next kind of regenerative cycle. Regeneration is what Scorpio is about. It's not just about, oh yeah, I'll just walk into this door and see what happens. It is a kind of a suction, energetic suction or emotion that takes place during Scorpio. So as Scorpio would have it, usually things have a kind of no ending, no start and no beginning. So it's almost like you walk into a door and it just basically balances you out and leads you into a certain type of way of life. So it's almost like the waves or the territories of life itself are going to eventually regulate you into that next feeling of yourself or into that next kind of system. So it's not just about pulling yourself into a conclusion and doing what you can with what you've got. It's just about being simplified and kind of caressed or made or developed into something or somebody else with life itself being the system that pulsates you or kind of develops you into the next system or the next person that you are. So we're not looking for effort. We are sometimes looking at effort in the past, like something that took you effort in the past. We're looking for things to kind of, in a way, secure you or pull you out of one dream into another dream. So in a way, life does upon itself. So in terms of like how to really start a new message, how to start a new path, it's not just about, well, I don't know, I'm at crossroads, I have no idea. This is not where we're going. We're not looking for you to apply that much effort, passion, or energy. Things do onto themselves, or they become themselves. So this is an automatic connection. It's a reminder from life that everything is going to become possible as you evolve into a sense of trust and this warmth and this humility with the timeline that you're having. Just regulating your thoughts and feelings, your passions and desires, so that you know that although maybe you've done certain things in your life, they will be alleviated from you, or life based on plans or also perspectives of other people and other beings in the universe is going to somehow subdue you into a different timeline. So in a way, some of this is very tantric. Some of this is already made, pre-made, and it's very methodical. So some things are to do with people that have already pre-made or pre-connected certain plans. And in certain real reasoning, certain real habits, there's going to be nobody else, maybe sometimes but you, showing up in a certain situation or story as a quantum personal quantum presence, and some of it is definitely to do with the most obvious and the most giant or the most significant person or player in the game. And then sometimes it's not necessarily about dominance or winning like that. It's just about the world that is as within as without, and all through you, like the worlds and the territories kind of working with you in such a way that will make you a different life, which is very interesting for me. So as we live, as we enjoy, as we evolve, the life that we live or could have, would have, should have lived will start to come up to the surface. So we'll get kind of caressed or kind of placed or in a way pulled into outcomes and into a place of study. So in a way, as we're going through this next cycle, as we are about to manifest this next cycle in the new moon, we are learning through different things. We are cared for sometimes by the people, we cared for by the universe and by the greater body of people that we belong to, or the greater orchestration of bodies of people, or the presence of life, into that which is probably more meaningful for us. So we're not looking to dabble. We're not just looking for a dabbly wabbly kind of, well, I don't know, it sounds cool, I don't know, I'll see how this goes kind of timeline. We're definitely looking more further ahead, further afield. Some people are trying to craft a future or a real personality, a real presence that they can take into their life for many, many years or decades to come. So some people are looking for something meaningful and something really worthwhile for themselves and for their family trees. Although it's a tiny little new moon, it still has a lot of meaning, a lot of power. And what I would probably really like to face here is the associative, the joining factors, and also the disjoining factors. Notice if you're barking up the wrong tree, if you believe that you should be there even though nobody else likes you there. So for example, you are in a certain industry, or you're in a certain part of town where every single person thinks you shouldn't be there, but you are. Somehow you are. Notice if you are also trying to win by conquest or by difference, and the fact that you are somehow more interesting or emotional for yourself means more to you than it does to other people. So everybody's doing things a certain way and you're going against the grain to just prove yourself and provide a point of difference. That happens sometimes as a really karmic path. And also notice if you are not really sure of yourself in a place or in the future that you have somehow sculpted, and yet again it is very secure and sure of you. So sometimes you could easily be part of an agency. For example, I talked to a person who's had that happen. I also have that happen at the moment. Sometimes you're part of an agency where you're not sure how well you're going to do, but that body of people really believes you and they think, yeah, you're going to be one of the best, even though you just started there. Or for example, you're part of a certain type of childhood dream or identity or idea, and you're not really sure or secure, but everything around you is very cohesive and it loves you very deeply. Also notice if you are very invited, very loved, and how the greater universe around you is doing the same thing. So for example, you want to paint. Somebody gives you intuitively like a packet of paints just for fun. Somebody else hires you to paint something for them, even though you don't think that you're going to be very good at it. Somebody else, steers you in a direction of a famous painter or famous guide, or somebody tells you to buy a book or look at a certain type of documentary. And then it also, like within yourself as within others, starts to become a certain language. So you're not like doing this willy-nilly. You're not doing this without thought. Whatever you are preparing for, whatever you are interested in establishing in your life, you're not just doing this willy-nilly. You are doing this because it means something to you, and there is a part of your future, a part of your philosophy, or part of your guideline that has to do with it. So some of the time you will be on a track to find another person that knows exactly the same stuff as you. And some of it is about synchronicity and serendipity and people being synchronistic to you, as they simply thought the same thing at the same time, and they were also a part of the same type of cycle as yourself. So people are going through soul cycles. They're going through different samsara cycles, sure, for sure. And they're going through some kind of identities or re-identifying cycles. And they're all kind of clinging onto each other, clamping onto each other to find better meanings and better seeings and better systems, as we're all working out what we really want to learn and what we really want to do here. So it's not just about people just living a life. It's about greater learning and greater karma for all of us. So that's the new moon that is coming up, well, for some, and for some it's already upon us. And also, because this is quite a short reading now, I'm going to try to make it worth your while. So what are we preparing for? So some may argue we're not actually in Scorpio at all. We are in the sign of Orpheus, the forgotten sign. Some may argue, as I would, that there are 13 moons in a year, so why would there not be 13 signs? And I definitely respect that. So are there 13 signs, you could say? In a sidereal astrology, they would be. So that's also a question. what is your sidereal sign? This is like such a big question. It's such a long way. There's so much to address there, in terms of what is the real start of the year. Are we really like in the end, which is December shortly, or are we just going into the last quartile of the year? I mean, the choice is yours how to define it. The way that I'm going to try to help you is to understand that, yeah, we are in a sense going through a very magical time. Orpheus, the hidden sign, the snake bearer, is what I believe, I trust, is actually really going on here. In terms of how we are making things, how we're making plans, it is very serendipitous, and it's very, very awesome and obvious to us. Certain senses like your pineal gland, your amygdala should be pulsing now, should be really wide open. People have wide open eyes and senses in terms of what is real, what is not. And sometimes it doesn't really have to be defined. It doesn't really have to have any explanation to it. It is just whether you do or do not want to really work with this amazing energy. The energy that is happening at the moment is very, very tribal, very strong. Sometimes you will be just naturally pulled or built into a future with other people that also think alike to you, or that are on a similar path, or that have similar treasures. And in some situation, in some ways where there is a different dominant streak, you will not be able to do something that you were just about to do. Also notice that if you were really, really wanting something in your life and it is just not coming through, or it is falling apart, the best thing I have for you is to allow yourself to be tired if you are. If you're sick, allow yourself to be sick. But I also am going to tell you that in this particular timeline, as we are in Orpheus in the sign between Sag and Scorpio, it's very nice actually to be as strong and tough as you are, and as you are able to be. So sometimes it is about your willpower during this particular time of the year, and it's about your strength, and it's about your resilience and your ability to force or face yourself. Some things are going to become very disordered otherwise, so sometimes it is not just about imagining, and it's not about meditating, and it's not about just letting life be what it is. Sometimes it is about feeling forceful. So for example, what protects you from hereditary disease? For example, if you have a lot of family members that have passed from a certain disease, as I have, early on in their life and the previous generations, what can you do to combat that? What can you do to be a little bit further on than that? What can you do to be tougher than that, to be better than that, and to be more open than that? What can you do to be a better mother? What can you do to be a better friend? What can you do? What can you establish within yourself to pull yourself into shape? Sometimes people will say, oh no, I don't need that, I don't need that. So if there was any time to really practice your will and to pull together your future into a nicer, more secure and more beautiful spacing, and more sentimental, more sincere, and more amazing reality, this would be probably today for you. So I'm just going to say, even though you were not prepared for certain things by your parents, even though you were not told you could do certain things in your life, some people are really amazing at pulling themselves up and saying, even though everybody tells me that I'm not capable, I am capable. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to surprise all of you. So this is what I'm really looking forward to as well, as I'm practicing this. And I'm also seeing that in other people, and I'm becoming a little warmer about it, because sometimes, this also annoys me as a practicer of the esoteric arts, and of somebody, like somebody who really listens to nature and just sees things that are going to be what they're going to be. You may as well relax, you may as well relax. Everything's going to just go its own path. I also really respect now the possibility of being well above and beyond the previous level that life has prepared for you. So for example, wonderful thing that happens is certain types of practices, like say you were not meant to be an amazing artist, but because you practice so much and you've gotten so good at it, with time, trust that you are. Maybe you were not meant to be very strong and fit, and everybody in your family didn't care, but you pulled yourself up and you became a very strong body. So as results would show, for example, such as with fitness, such as with experience, such as with expertise, even though you were not meant to be that, and it was not natural for you to be that, you could be that. So even though, for example, we don't really have any people that really took care of their bodies in our family strand, and there was a lot of illness and depression and bad results because people didn't really care about themselves. I'm one of those people that really changed the life, or like the structure of my family, because I'm the person that really maybe it took to build myself into a completely different type of being. So that is something that a lot of people maybe don't like to discuss, they don't like to look at, but yeah, yes you can. Yes you can, through constant traveling, through working out, through constant speech therapy as well, through reading, through learning, through organizing, through practicing art, through practicing an instrument. Even though, for example, had no hearing, not very good musical hearing when I was a child, I developed that from music. So for example, I didn't have a very strong body. I developed it through dance. I didn't have a really good psychology. I developed it through travel. So this is what I'm telling you. This is where you have your mind over matter, and you're saying, if I am going to dedicate my energy in my life and my timeline to anything, I'm going to really make it worth my while. So this is really well, if you are interested in that path. But I understand that a lot of people that like esoterics and like astrology think that as will be, meaning as it was programmed by God, by the stars, by some Eastern philosophy, it will be. All you can do is choose a path of least resistance and just kind of lay down and take it and just see what happens. So this is also not kind of right to say. In certain situations, you have to know that if you don't say anything, and if you do not become yourself, and you don't become adamant about who you are and what you want and what you believe and trust in such a window, you will be bypassed, and sometimes you'll be part of the most, not part of the best. So here we have really a big division. We have people that are the greatest and people that are not the best. So for example, we have people that have pushed themselves to a certain type of iconic state. We definitely do have people that have overwritten their life design, overwritten their astrology and their family systems by just basically becoming monsters at something. So for example, a person that has been driving themselves very, very far along a certain timeline for a consistent number of years, whether it is working out or philosophy or learning to do this or that, they become not necessarily monsters, but they become almost like so good, like they become almost unwise for other people because they're way beyond a certain spectrum that nature gave them before. So I did talk a lot about this on Patreon in the past year, about people becoming kind of not necessarily artificial, but almost becoming beyond what nature gave them. So becoming kind of monstrous to other people, becoming very unusual in terms of what they've developed out of themselves, out of their life in a course of time. And then some people are just very safe and they're so fine being sheep. They are so fine being within a certain type of conclusion. They're absolutely okay about everybody else having the same view, the same esteem, and having the same picture that they're painting. So everybody's painting the same picture. So in a sense, that is also right and it's also good. So I'm not trying to initiate you and get that guru, that shaman, or that amazing person, or that professor out of you. I'm not trying to make you a professor at life or at anything. I'm just telling you that some of the time we have a bit of both, and sometimes a person could have aspects of the two. The main thing is whether you are conforming to the greater sort of normal, neutral denominator, the common denominator, or you are trying to evolve yourself and pull yourself into a completely new phase of evolution. And if you do not have the courage to stand up and do something different or interesting, doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, one hand rubs the other. So the greater collective and the individuum, they all have a certain type of knowledge bank that they share. So underneath life, underneath existence, it is all holding hands, and we're all a part of it all. So in a way, whether or not you've become a very talented, very unique, very outrageous, or very even unreal for some people individual, or if you become one of those people that just takes, just consumes experiences and just, takes what you want from it, and, thinks about life and just, in a way is just enjoying this time in silence, or enjoying a level of median normality, it's absolutely okay for you, because either one of these ones is right. I've done a lot of channeling for the week ahead, and yeah, I do talk about this for the next coming week from I think this is the 23rd till the 29th or something like that. So like some people just have chosen their level of normal, and it doesn't really have to go beyond that. So in a sense, we just need to know where you want to go. And if you trust that within yourself, you will really want to say something. To be outspoken in the next week leading up to the month of December is very important, very impressive. See what is bubbling up inside of you, where you want to say something, where you want to say, well, actually, I don't think so. Well, I think this is the best deal, or that's the best deal. Have a look at what you really want to do, though. Eventually, in a life, there comes a time when you really have to learn. You have to choose what you're studying, what you're learning from. You have to understand and recognize which type of people and tribes you really are a part of, what is part of the picture, and what you don't want to be part of the picture of anymore. So sometimes we do definitely have to think about what is the mega miracle in my life and what is not. How do I really want to be the author, the creator, or the mage in my life? Because we are in this path of the mage, the teacher, or that extraordinary person that got to conquer life, or that got to conquer themselves, or the given. And we are definitely, as I said before, using will and courage and pride and significance to walk out of certain stories. So some karma, some stories cannot be abbreviated. Otherwise, you cannot kick your body into shape unless you force it into shape. You make it go into shape. So like, unless you say something, you will not be heard. Unless you do something about it, it will never change. So here we do definitely have the outspoken law during this week, as we turn into that last week of November, as we really, really want to know more. If you do have the guts, if you do have the brawn and the style of life sometimes, or the power, the passion, or the network of friends to be open about that which you do, which you feel, which you think, and also the results that you're looking for will not be mastered. You will not just be somehow discovered or helped unless you really tell someone something. So it's really, really important to be the one that talks during this particular end of the month. It's really, really nice to be the one that is full of pride and significance. We're going into a fire horse year. You have to be freaking confident. You've got to be confident. You've got to be okay about who you are and who you were. And you've got to take it with pride. So it's the system of people maybe that you're working with that doesn't sometimes help you. So for example, if you are a person that is easily found to be mediocre or median ground, or you don't really care about developing anything or anybody, you're just trying to survive, trying to live your life in peace, sometimes that will show and that will hurt. And that's one of the most hurtful aspects during this time for some people, is the limit. I can't say that around her. I can't say that around him. I can't be myself around these people. I can't do anything about this. And what we basically want to learn about is where you're coming from. So try to find the cockles of your heart. Try to find those maybe family lines or the joy that you have in your life, or the esteem, to wiggle out of them. So some people would definitely be better off living in higher grounds. I do talk a lot about higher grounds in my current week ahead audio that I just posted. I'm posting now on Patreon. It is about going to the next level. It's about going past the previous limits. In some people's cases, it's about going to the next demographical reasoning. So for example, you don't want to just be somewhere out back. You want to be at the front. That's absolutely fine. You want to build your business, you want to build your audience, you want to do better, you want to get more promotion and marketing, you want to update your logos, you want to update your signage, you want to make sure that you are seen as a brand or a person, you want to make sure that you are not quiet about the things that you got way behind, and some things have already been put behind. So a lot of this does not come from nowhere. It's not random, although we do like to imagine Sagittarian time to be kind of random. It's not random. It's been sitting there all along. And the best choice I have for you is to try to wake up during this time, this window, and make sure that you are good to go, that you are not after that which another person is speaking of and is saying is right for them. So you actually have your own personality, your own presence, your own hands and feet. And what I would probably also like to suggest, as I've already suggested that on my Patreon channel, if you want, you can get back in your body, kick back in your body, and the esteem and the feeling and the solidity that it actually takes to be inside of you. So work with your hips, with your joints, with your knees, work with your feet and your hands. Try to get as confident as you can. Sometimes you can't build that confidence with a poker face. You can't build that confidence with a face of makeup. You can't build that confidence with things that are cosmetic, branded clothes, and like a cool place to live. You need to get into your body to build and to break the spell. So sometimes it is about having strong knees and joints that gives you a natural happiness from the inside out. It is about using sometimes infrared spas. It's really nice to have an infrared sauna thing, you know, so it's like a dry sauna, so that maybe you cough things out, or you let that juice, or you let that wetness or dampness in your body leave, so we are not working with melancholy anymore. So it's about developing a body that can go forward. It's about feeling non-melancholic. It's about trying to feel where you got the guts, where you got the steam, and you got the fire, and the natural resilience. Because definitely Sag is a hunter, Orpheus, you could say, is a hunter as well, and also Capricorn, I would say, is also kind of a hunter energy. It's about being fully human. It's about being radical. It's about being able to face the elements and being able to handle yourself and face your soul. So it's about full spectrum maturity. We're going into a horse year. If you've come of age, so if you are after about the age of 25, you have to be strong. You have to be strong, and you got to know yourself inside out. So it's not just about, well, my mummy's going to handle it, someone else is going to pay my rent, and I don't know, like how it's going, I don't know how it's going. Try to find the wisdom and the security in your body while you can during this time that we're going through, to get as strong as you can, so that you are not doing things that you don't have to do. So you're not working for someone else, you're working for yourself. You're not doing that because someone else wants it. You're doing it for yourself. You're not a person without laws or reasons or without a secure constitution. You're doing it for you. So we are looking for a proud warrior, and yeah, a gift to society, a gift to anybody, a gift to your family, friends, if you know you, and also if you are becoming emblematic in yourself. And I do actually have a lot of training, coaching that I've given for this week ahead in terms of people joining to the one path, so we are going into Sag. Sag is like a tunnel, just zooming through the tunnel. It's going to be fearless. It's going to be really, really crazy out there. Some people are going into a lot of brawn and a lot of energy, and some people have a lot of decay, and they're still moving past things that they've already established and experienced. Sometimes people will go into memory lane. They will go into feelings. They will go into something or somebody that they once have been or once have been with. So if you have a lot of nostalgia and a lot of melancholy, you're going the wrong way. I'm just going to tell you that. At the moment, because we're at the end of Snake, we're going into Horses is completely the wrong way. Sometimes it is healing. Sometimes it is healthy to do. But some of the time it's just going to take you around backwards and you're going to lose everything. So what I'm basically telling you, it's not about the waters. It's not about being a melancholy person for the next week or so. It's about going onto the path. And I've done a lot of coaching for people and Patreon in terms of joining the dots and knowing that you are choosing a lane. You're choosing a lane. You're not going to wiggle between 3 or 4 lanes in your life. You're trying to go into the one feeling of security. And it's really hard if people have mental illness. It's really hard if they have 4 or 5 personalities, or they have different ways that their mind is working that is going against the grain, is trying to pull them out of the system that they're from or that they're in. So we want to do this. If you're on board with me, you can have a look at my Patreon and can see me for a reading if you like. We're trying to nurture the body, the mind, and the soul, and the sequencing of your timeline to go into the one simple aspect of time. So you are going within one cultural base. You're doing this. You are not fighting the elements always, constantly, all your life. Of course you can do. And who am I to criticize you? Because it's one of those weeks when people are going to really bring out the crazy person inside them, and they're going to say, well, nothing feels happy for me unless I'm really going the distance and I'm doing something crazy. Like if it's not crazy, it's not gonna be happy for me. And there's sometimes people that do that too. And I'm not necessarily telling you to be the Joker in a pack of cards, but if you are, that's fine. I'm just telling you that it is more about facing the elements and also knowing how to choose the lane, choose the demographic, or choose the way of life that is right for you, so that you are using this brawn, this passion, this confidence, and this energy, this chi, to your greatest advantage later on. So thank you very much. Also happy preparing for the horse year ahead. I will be publishing the book in a jiffy. I had it ready since August. I just haven't gone around to publishing it. It's already designed. So rest assured, there will be a book coming up next year. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Have a look at my Patreon, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.